Hey everybody, welcome in. So believe it or not, this is very exciting. Um, we have been doing this podcast for now a whole year. So 365 days. I think that's right.
It is because tomorrow's the 1 year anniversary of our first dropped show, our
So
first episode.
that is crazy. You know that a year just flies by when you're having fun, right, Dr. D?
It does fly by, but we did a lot in this year. We have a lot of episodes. It's
Yeah,
pretty impressive, I
yeah.
think.
We have 817 episodes. I'm just kidding. I don't think it's that many. This will probably be like our 43rd episode.
Something in the 30s, I think.
No, I think is it
Pretty
43?
good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. So we wanted to get together. This is our 1 year anniversary celebration spectacular. So if you see this on your FYP or on your like phone, you should probably stay and watch it because we're gonna spend the next like 20 minutes talking about some of our biggest takeaways from
Yeah.
the last year from all the people. We've done a few different styles of podcasts. We've had
Hmm.
parents on that are really similar to me and Dr. D that just have a question with a challenge that they're having in their family. We've had maybe some experts on the podcast as well, like Mike on parenting and several others. And then we've also done the ones where we and Dr. D just kind of talk and chop it up like two old friends, um, real sister brother vibes, and do that. So we're gonna take some of the main takeaways, and so this is the episode to watch because you're gonna get a little bit of everything, you know,
Mm.
a little rapid fire takeaways and tricks that we think were the most impactful over the last year. Does that sound good, Dr. D?
That sounds super awesome.
And Dr. D had a big weekend. She had like a massive rager party at her house. How did that go?
It was a fun neighborhood Halloween party, and I made two armadillo costumes from scratch that came out awesome.
That's cool.
And party lasted a while before a massive rainstorm. It was a major adventure, I will say.
Rain. Hey, Dr. D, I got some chickens.
Jake, you're growing your family. Congratulations.
We have two. Oh, I remember the name of it, Dr. D. So in our pre-show meeting, I couldn't remember the name of it. Now I remember the name. They're called Silky Chickens.
Ooh, silky
Yeah,
chickens.
they're really fancy chickens. They're high maintenance. I'm just kidding, but they're like black and white, and they're super cute. And we were at this pumpkin patch, and they had like a lady there with like 40 chickens. I don't think she was trying to sell them, but the boys played with them. And Sarah always wanted chickens, and these particular chickens will like let you hold them, and they don't try to like bite your finger off. Um, so yeah, it was a fit. And we bought the chickens a week ago. We built a chicken coop this weekend. It's very nice. So we're excited about it.
And
And
now you have pets that will give you breakfast protein. So you're set.
yeah, that's my first step on my health journey. That and one wall push up a day. So
Yeah. How have those wall push-ups been going, by the way? Just getting
terrible,
right into
terrible,
the chop now.
terrible, terrible,
Jake,
terrible.
Jake, you gotta step this up.
I
You
know,
gotta
I
step
know.
this up.
I'm so good looking from the face down, from the hair down, but once we get to the body part, it's a little bit dad bodish. Um,
But your sense of self is so good that it doesn't even matter. I love that. I
yeah.
love that.
Okay. So well, obviously we had awesome weekends. We've been doing this for a year. Okay.
Yes.
We want to continue doing this. We want to continue doing the podcast. But in order for me to continue, because obviously if Dr. D decides one day we're not doing this podcast anymore, there goes the podcast. Because we all know the person, I think you're to my right.
On
Yeah.
the other way.
This way.
Yeah.
Okay. The person over here, she's the star of the show. So I have to continue to convince Dr. D that this is a good use of her time. And we want to keep getting this information out there. So if you hear and you like Dr. D at all and you tolerate me, please like the podcast, share the podcast, do all those different things. That way we can continue to grow it. And I think Dr. D, we should try a live stream one day. I think that'd be cool.
Okay, that's
W-
cool. But I think, yeah, the biggest thing is like if you get a parenting tip that was useful to you, please share it with one other parent that you know who might benefit, because even if it's not a question that you have, proactively knowing the concepts that we talk about can really
Mhm.
one day kind of click in and be valuable. And we're keeping the show short on purpose so that you can listen to it like waiting in car line or running an errand or something like that. So please
Good point.
share it with people you know. That really helps us and helps them hopefully too.
And we're working on making sure this podcast is everywhere that you could find podcasts, right? That's our goal. We want to make sure it's everywhere, to where it's easily accessible. So over the
Yeah.
next 15 minutes, we're going to recap some of our biggest takeaways from the last year, over 40 shows, not 800, but 40, which I think is a pretty good clip.
Hmm.
Dr. D, I'll give you the floor first.
The floor first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that we've covered so many varied topics over the
Mhm.
past year. And like you said, we've had guests, we've had parents coming on with questions. You and I have just chatted about stuff. There are some themes that I think were really popular. So, one theme that I know is really popular has to do with technology and kids. And this
Oh,
one
yeah.
is so important because this is a moving target, right? Technology is changing every day. And parents are often faced with not knowing what's right, not knowing what the research says to do, getting, maybe conflicting information from what their kids' friends' parents are doing.
Yep.
And so when it comes to technology, sort of my biggest things are use your own values about what matters to you in terms of what what you want your family to look like and how you want your family to be using technology. You have to model what you want your kids to do. If you're constantly reaching for your phone and then telling your kids to put their screens down, you're
Yeah.
showing them something different from what you're doing, and you're the biggest source of their learning. And so it's going to be really important for you to think about your own use, and then also just consider ways that you can, if you want to cut down use, curb it. So things like having phones away for meals, having certain times where phones are silent or out of sight is what research says really, really helps. Because even when our phones are silent and face down, if they are in our line of sight, they're still distracting. Urgh. So move your devices out of your line of sight. Consider charging your phones overnight somewhere, like outside of bedrooms. We created like a little box with just a power strip in it, and it's super simple. Little hole in the back plugs into the wall, and the devices all go in there, and they're away from everyone. And so this idea of putting limits, but the other side of that is if you're going to put limits, also preparing your kids for how to handle that. So really informing your kids about why you're making these choices so they can hopefully become shared family values, and realizing that their peers might have parents who are making different choices. So we had Jessica on saying how she's not going to give her kid a phone and like Snapchat, but that's how a lot of her son's friends were getting in touch and making plans.
Yeah.
And so helping him prepare for the fact that he wasn't going to be able to do that, that wasn't an available option, and then working through with him what he could do and supporting him on that extra effort and those extra steps. And so that it didn't become a punishment, it just became a difference. And so it's, one of the things that we've talked about is it's really tough if you're going to just say your kid is limited in a way that's different from other kids, but then not support them to work it through. That's where really good family problem solving comes in. And then you're really benefiting because then you're getting that extra bonus of practicing that life skill of problem solving and coping with disappointment, which is super useful for kids. So technology and screens and limits have been a
Yeah.
big topic that we've talked about multiple times on our show.
It's one that's and technology has been. I would say, Dr. D, it's probably fair to say it's probably been our most talked about topic,
Maybe.
maybe, or at least like somewhere in that top two or three. And that's why I'm happy you did it first. And it's such a new challenge, right? When
Hmm.
me, not that new, but when me, like with me and you when we were kids, like I remember like I had a flip phone a flip phone when I was like, I can't even say it. It's so old, so adequated at this point. But I had that when I was like 19 years old, a flip phone. Like we didn't have the iPhone and stuff like that. The flip phone
Yeah.
didn't have like internet or any of this stuff. It was literally just there to where like, cause I played basketball through high school and stuff. So they just wanted me to be able to call them when I got home from the bus.
Yeah.
We got home from the game, right? So they could
Yeah.
come pick me up, or that I could let them know, hey, I was about to drive home, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game right now.
Yeah. And because I'm
Because
older than you, we didn't even have that in high school. And guess what? We were okay.
yes, yeah, it went from just a way to like let your parent know I'm here, I'm back home, I'm here, come get me, or I'm coming home. Now we have to be so worried about too. Like for me, my biggest thing is like I want to like shield my boys from like some of that the content that they probably shouldn't be exposed to yet. Not saying all the content's bad for when they're older, but right now I probably don't want them watching that content because he's 3, right?
Yeah,
So
so research shows that inappropriate content is the number one problem with technology is
mhm.
that kids are getting exposed to inappropriate content and it's having an impact on them. So I really appreciate you bringing that up as your biggest concern because it's the
So
one that we should be the most aware of.
So phones was one. I had another one that was interesting to me. Let's talk about the parenting menu. You remember this whole topic?
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
we talked about like I think you came up with this conceptually, but it's like okay, boredom is not the worst thing ever. And
Right.
we did this one in the summertime, but I thought about it again recently because,
Yeah.
like, obviously, we know that coming up pretty soon is the whole holiday season. And then the holiday season also brings a lot of time where kids are off of school, right? Around Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that time, New Year's, there's a lot of time off of school. So,
Hmm.
that concept of like boredom's okay,
Hmm.
it could really drive creativity. And then having a menu of independent options where you could be like, hey, oh, you're bored? Okay, cool. Here's that menu we made. You could do this, or this, and go do it independently. And then it was so important for us to have the ingredients to make the menu. So, like, if the menu was, hey, you're going to color for an hour, 30 minutes, well, we better have some good coloring books and colors,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So that concept that we talked about being boredom being okay and having a menu of options
Yeah.
to support their hopefully they stimulate their mind. It's just not
Yeah.
like because it goes back to technology because it was about like not just putting them on a phone.
Right.
It was stuff that would actually stimulate their mind. So
Right.
I thought about
And
that one.
I like that you brought up independence because that's another topic that we've talked about. And, you know, I read like all the parenting stuff. And one of the biggest topics that people have been talking about is that our generation of parents, we are doing too much for our kids and we're checking on them too much also because they have like phones and stuff. So the communicate it's like too much and kids are
Mm,
not learning appropriate independence. And the independence is so good for kids because it builds confidence.
yeah,
And so when kids are doing things on their own, they're feeling confident, they know they can handle it. And it kind of it goes in both directions. It's what we call like a virtuous cycle, right? It's a positive upward spiral in that then they build confidence so they want to do more things for themselves. And if parents set clear ground rules, make sure that the choices they're making are appropriate, it's so good for kids to be able to build this independence. And I think like we've kind of flipped it from some generations ago that we laugh about how they like had no idea where their kids are and we are too involved, we know too much, and then our kids are not doing things that are age appropriate for them to do on their own. And so yeah, being able to say, yeah, you can walk over to your friend's house, just around the corner. If there's a sidewalk, stay on the sidewalk, look both ways, whatever it may be. And then letting kids do these things that are appropriate and hopefully safe, within the normal bounds of safety, and
mhm,
then feel so good about themselves that they were able to accomplish that. So that's
yep,
another thing that I know we've talked some about.
yep. Okay, so we said 20 minutes. I think this podcast could probably be 17 hours because we've covered so much in the last year. I don't
Well,
want
say
to.
some more of your favorite highlights, Jake. What are some things that you've been practicing
Yeah.
since we talked about them?
So obviously, I said the menu thing.
Yeah.
And that kind of does go a little bit into technology, right? A
Mhm.
lot of the stuff we talked about stems from technology because it's such a big
Mhm.
topic in our parenting journeys today.
Mhm.
We also talked about like the importance of putting screens away for some time. So like
Mhm.
we've implemented the idea of no screens at the table.
Mhm.
So like, because for me, it's even like deeper. How do I word this? It's more important than just okay, you don't have screens at the dinner table, but it's also like allowing having questions, right? Asking them, hey, how was your day? What's going on with you? What are you learning at school? What's something that makes you feel a little bit fearful right now? What's something you're excited about that's coming up? Like we're telling our my sons, I'm telling them that I care about what you have to say. Like I value your voice, right? So what I'm trying to do is cultivate this sense that their voice matters. They
Mhm.
matter.
Mhm.
And if we're at the dinner table just all on our phones, which I'm sure my kids would be happy to do, to be on some kind of screen, but we're not, right? We're putting the phones away and we're going to invest in our family and all talk about what's going on good in our lives, what's going on not so great in our lives, where we might need some help. Um, and and I think that's helped. So that's definitely something
Cool.
that we've implemented. Um,
That really opens up the lines of communication too, which is really nice because once you open those lines up, those lines are open.
yeah, and I want my son to feel comfortable. Like if they're in a situation where they could feel comfortable calling me and voicing that and me helping them out.
Yeah.
We also, I guess, have implemented the thought process around discipline.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get into like too much of the everybody disciplines differently. Um, I think consequences are okay, but we definitely have kept in mind like one being on the same page, husband and wife, partner, and then two not stacking consequences.
Yeah.
Because I think we had talked about this, Dr. D, about how when a child is really emotionally engaged and like really high up,
Yeah.
you can tell them like, hey, you're not having the phone for a day, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 17 years. And they probably wouldn't hear any of that. But now, as a parent, you've put yourself in this corner of now I have to follow through with this
Mhm.
ridiculous consequence.
Mhm.
Where the better option is probably to not do anything at that moment, let
Mhm.
everything de-escalate,
Mhm.
and then go back to that child and say, "Hey, look, this behavior X, Y, and Z was not acceptable. This is the consequence that we've came up as a team." So
Right.
that's another one that we've implemented, but that's the two that come top of mind.
Yeah. And when kids are in that state, that's exactly right. You can see they're feeling bad. So if you offer a consequence and it doesn't work, chances are that their brain is kind of like offline in that moment. It's not going to
Mhm.
work. You'll even hear like, I don't care about things they definitely care about. And so really being able to say, okay, I can see that you're having a tough time right now. I'm going to give you a little bit of space because the whole most important thing in that moment is for everyone to de escalate, come down, bring it down, cool the emotions down. So if they're safe, they can be alone. If they're not safe, you can be present, but you're not talking to them, you're not interacting with them, you're just letting them get some of that energy down so
Yep.
that their thinking brain comes back online, then you can have a conversation. And I think a lot of parents really make a mistake when kids are activated, they're obviously angry, they're freaking out, and then trying to use those as teachable moments. They cannot think, they cannot learn in that moment. The only thing you want to be thinking in that moment is we got to cool this down, got to give them
Yep.
some space, got to take some space myself. Parents can do their own timeouts where they go lock themselves in the bathroom. Again, as long as the kid is safe and the space is safe, then taking that break, letting everything come down, rejoining. Whew, I could see you were feeling really mad. Let's talk about it. How are you?
Yeah.
Right now, you're rejoining, reconnecting, and moving on. But I do think it's really important. I know that there is a lot of stuff out there on social media and on the internet about not using consequences. And those folks have got it wrong. There is decades of research, and all of the parenting people who are coming at this from, have doing it from a research based space talk about how it's not a punishment. it's a consequence. It's, as you
Mhm.
use the word, discipline. It gives kids structure, it gives them boundaries, it gives them guidelines, it makes them feel secure and safe. Yes, they will not like the consequence in the moment, but now they know, up, that's the wall. Okay, that's where it is. And if there's none of that, things can feel really out of control for kids, and we actually see more problem behavior. So giving a consequence in our family, because we follow through with them, actually most of the time we just warn about a consequence, and then kids are like, okay, I don't want that consequence. So you'll see a shift in behavior. So it kind of feels like not having consequences is like throwing the baby out with the bathwater and leaving parents like stranded with challenges and not tools to be able to handle them. And so,
Mm.
being aware that kids are going to mess up. Mike Parenting came on and said 80-20 rule. 80% of the time they're going to behave okay. 20% of the time they're going to totally mess up. By the way, we do too. So give it a little bit more grace, giving ourselves a little bit more grace, but also being able to have consequences for when they do mess up so that they realize what the balance of the world, what the expectations are within your family. That'll help them behave better. That'll help you get along better. I know that there's some talk about there, don't count your kids when you give them a warning. I'm a huge fan of counting your kids, because guess what you're doing? Guess what I'm doing when I'm counting my kids? I'm slowly, calmly counting. I'm not yelling at them. I'm not calling their name 1,500 times. I'm not losing my mind. I'm counting and breathing. And if you're going to count slow, you got to take a breath in between. You are regulating yourself. You're showing regulation, and you're keeping it from getting actually escalated or worse. So using these tools that we've shown for decades are helpful is really something that I want to encourage parents to continue to do, because it helps you stay in control and you know what to do in that moment. And then your kids know what the boundaries are, and they feel secure and safe because you, the grown up, are setting the boundary. You're not leaving it up to them. You're not leaving it all up in the air. And everyone can function better as a family and get back to getting along and get back to kind of doing the stuff and moving along. And that is really good for families. So obviously, I'm a big fan of doing safe, reasonable consequences, having discipline, not punishment, not punitive, not blame and shame and anger. Just, whew, that's not what we're trying to accomplish here. Let's get ourselves from point A to point B.
Yep. Love that. Dr. D, I'm gonna turn the question around to you.
Okay.
And we're gonna do the last word with Dr. D.
How can I recap the recap, Jake?
You got this. No. So the last word with Dr. D is gonna be like your one or two favorite takeaways.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, I'm going to say for the last word that we love doing this show. We want to grow this show. We want to give parents evidence-based information about what works and what doesn't work. I spent the time reading the research, so, benefit from me being able to do that and share it with you. We want more parents to come on. We started this thing because you had some parenting questions and you wanted to get some support. And I really want to be able to share good, valuable information with parents. Parenting is hard, full stop. That's our slogan. Parenting is hard, full stop. We want to help make it a little bit easier, a little bit better by sharing golden nuggets. This isn't going to shake the earth. This isn't going to change your whole life.